Thank you all for tuning into this episode of Wrestling with Awareness. I'd just like to quickly apologize to the viewers because you're going to notice two cuts within the interview as I had some technical difficulties, but besides that, the entire thing will run smoothly. Hope you enjoy, and a special thanks to Shaul Guerrero for joining me.
John Cena here with a special message of thanks for Vikram Prashar. Thank you so much for supporting Elbow Grease with Elbow Grease Fast Friends, and thank you for your passion of sports entertainment. I know you're a WWE superstar in training. Be safe. Good luck. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of Wrestling with Awareness. I'm your host, Vikram Prashar, and today I have a very special guest for you. She's a professional wrestler, she is a singer, she is a model, and she is a badass. Today we are going to wrestle the mind with Shaul Guerrero. How are you doing today, Shaul?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. It really is. And we're about a month into 2020, and the crazy year, 2021. 2020 was the crazy year that just finished. I think it's safe to say the world was in a very difficult place in 2020. We kind of still are, but we're definitely going to branch out of that this year. But I had your husband Matt on for an interview a few weeks ago, and I'm going to start off with the same question I started off with him, because I honestly feel that gratitude is something very important when it comes to finding inner happiness and peace. So, kicking things off on a positive note, what are some things you're grateful for that came out of 2020?
Oh man. There is a lot, and honestly, even in the, like you said, we're in the wake of 2020, trying to adjust to 2021, but definitely the added time with my husband was blessing and a curse. It was a big adjustment for us, especially with me being so used to him being on the road so much, and then all of a sudden he's home 24/7. So I think it was an adjustment for both of us, but we've gotten to know each other a lot more, learned to lean on each other a lot more. And I'm actually really thankful that this past year was our hardest year of marriage, honestly, because I was like, you know what, that's kind of a testament. I was like, people say like the first year of marriage is the hardest. And I think like maybe we were just living together for so long before then that we were like, oh, it's fine. Like nothing really changed. But this year was really hard. It really tested our marriage, and we came out stronger and knowing how to help each other. And he's learned how to help me with my mental illness, and I've learned how to be more sensitive to him. So I think that was the biggest gift I really took out of 2020.
And that is something very good to be grateful for, because, like, in all honesty, it is true. You do have to take the bad with the good. If you want good in life, you got to take the bad. So in order to have a very great marriage with someone that you love dearly, you got to understand that sometimes you're going to butt heads. That's going to happen. And it is a really great test.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Just a quick technical difficulty there, but we were talking about 2020, and in 2020 you did some pretty interesting things, like stepping in the ring to compete for the GCW Women's Championship Tournament and being a ring announcer for AEW's Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament. Now, we've seen your mother, Vicky Guerrero, do some stuff with All Elite Wrestling in 2020. Is there a chance in 2021 we could see you get more involved in AEW?
I wouldn't say no. I'm definitely working. I'm working really hard because like AEW truly did light a fire in me, especially finding that it was just a very different environment than what I was used to at other promotions. And I really love it there, and I see how happy the talent is. And honestly, like I'm working my butt off on the indies. I want to learn more. I want to wrestle everyone, but it's all like with hindsight or my future focus on AEW, to be honest.
So your future focus is mostly on AEW right now?
Mostly, yes, but like,
Yeah.
I would absolutely, the dream is to be able to be on TV as a professional wrestler and also very active in my dance career at the same time. So I think that's why I look at AEW and Impact as two better fits for me than something with WWE, because we all know when you're in WWE, that is the only thing you can do, and it's very all consuming there, which is great. That's just not the life I'm trying to live.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And especially not only just how exclusive your contract would be with WWE, but the schedule too. That's definitely for someone who would really like only want to pursue professional wrestling, and a
Mhm.
lot of people with other ventures, like unless you're John Cena or The Rock, you're probably not going to be able to get that time off. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. Now, as we mentioned, your mother is Vicky Guerrero, and for those who don't know, Shaul is also the daughter of the late great Eddie Guerrero. What was it like growing up with a father like Eddie?
Um, it was it was wonderful and also really hard. I've been very open and honest with the fact that I didn't truly get to know my dad until the year he died, until he was 15, because he was very much involved with drugs and alcohol the majority of my life, and it was kind of a scary house to live in most of the time. But when I turned around like 13, dad was really on the road to true recovery that was going to stick. And so I feel very blessed and fortunate that I was able to even get to know that side, because we all have seen how addiction to anything can be extremely detrimental. And it's not just about the person that's addicted. It's about the family that they live with, the people that they are in contact with all the time as well. It's a family disease. And so I do feel very honored that I got to get to know him as a person, that he got to get to know me a little bit. But it was also really wonderful to see him fight through that disease, and to be super just means so much more to me than the wrestling. But of course, I'm extremely proud to be his daughter and to hopefully carry on his legacy in more so a personal way than maybe in the ring. I'm trying to do my own thing in the ring, but if I can be his daughter in terms of what a good person he was and how generous he was and how talented he was, then I think that's that's a solid goal.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And honestly, well, like the way you bring up addiction and stuff, it's so true. I do think it's a lot of it is genetics. And another thing is just that like that promo, obviously the moment of him defeating Brock Lesnar was amazing, winning the WWE title, but something that really stuck out to me was that promo a few SmackDowns before when he spoke about his struggles with addictions and he spoke about his struggles with drugs. That really just so uplifting, so inspirational. You can definitely tell it was something he was passionate about and he was proud to overcome. You know, we have like so many second and third generation wrestlers right now, women's wrestlers such as Charlotte Flair and Natalia, and then other wrestlers who are simply on top of their game like Sasha Banks, Io Shirai, Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker. Who do you believe is the best, and who do you want to face the most right now?
I mean, that's such a hard question, honestly, because like I really feel like, I mean, like wrestlers have strengths and weaknesses. You know what I mean? So like I do find I really want to face Serena Deeb. I've had the privilege of just being in the ring with her for like a drill, and I was like floored with how amazing she is, how wonderful she made me look and feel, and how confident she was in my ability. That I don't know. I really want to face her. Absolutely. But there's so many amazing people out there. Like I've always wanted to face Natalia, and Natalia is, you know, for real a goat. And I really appreciate her talent. And she's also been just always a phenomenal person to me. So but that's so hard, honestly. There's really amazing people in every company. And I do feel very honored, though. I get to face Deanna Purazzo in February and I'm really, really excited. So that's someone off the bucket list for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't even blame you there. We are living through a women's revolution in professional wrestling, and not even just pro wrestling, but pro sports. Because if you look at MMA, women are rising to the occasion there too. And there's just a lot of competition out there, and it's
Oh
becoming
yeah.
very, very entertaining. So, as people know, your father, Eddie Guerrero, and Chris Benoit were very good friends when they were in the WWE. So I know you said that you were more connected with your father within his last year of living, but are you in touch with Chris's son David Benoit at all? Because I understand that he's training, and would you be excited to see him in the ring by any chance?
Of course, if that's what he wants. I feel bad. I feel like I disappoint fans a lot because I'm not in contact with Mysterio's kids or David Benoit or anything like that. And I don't know why, I think, but it's I know for me, like, my going through being a Guerrero in more ways than one, it's a lot. It's a lot being a legacy kid in terms of, it's huge and it's a wonderful opportunity. Like, doors open for you and you get really, like I said, you get wonderful opportunities, which is amazing because of how hard our parents and grandparents, uncles, whoever worked. But it's also, you're living your trauma all the time. And it's especially, I would say, for and I know it's very different, but I can only speak to my experience. It's like, I talk about my dead dad more than anything else, like, all the time. And so I think maybe it's just like, when I can get away from wrestling, I absolutely do. And I think that was why I needed a 6-year hiatus from FCW to now, to try and heal, because obviously the wrestling world is amazing. It's chock full of opportunity, but it's also it can be quite a burden. So, like, I think maybe the reason why I haven't reached out, or maybe we don't all talk to each other, it's just it's a lot, you know what I mean? And it's kind of dredging up a lot of trauma when we're already living it every day. So, but I wish him well, and of course, when I see him, I'm gonna give him a big ass hug, and I would like to, be able to talk about our dads with each other.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great way to put it. And I could definitely understand where you're coming from there, because yeah, it is true. You've been in the wrestling bubble your whole life. You're a part of a family with such a fantastic legacy. And I think, yeah, when you're having your personal relationships with people and you want to kind of step away from wrestling for a little bit, if those people are also connected in the business, I could see how you'd struggle to find that escapism for sure. But I understand you have two sisters by the name of Sherilyn and Kaylee. Do you know if any of them will have aspirations in the pro wrestling business?
I haven't had a lot of contact with Kaylee, so I wouldn't know. But my sister Sherilyn, I don't know. She has a lot of talent. She's a fantastic dancer. I think dance runs in the family with a lot of females in the Guerrero family, and so she really does well there. I don't see, like, she hasn't expressed being an in-ring competitor, but maybe possibly she's a wonderful photographer. So I think she might be in the wrestling industry in a different way than maybe people expect.
Yeah, of course. And that's the most beautiful thing about the professional wrestling industry. Because one guy I really look up to is Shawn Spears. And I saw him get interviewed by Chris Van Vliet. And what he said was so true. He said, if you have an interest in pro wrestling, there's something for everybody in this business. Yes. So for you, and even me, because I'm a pro wrestler in training, we want to step in the ring. We want to do different stuff. And also you like to pursue ring announcing. I like to pursue podcasting. There's people who set up the stage. There's just referees, so many different avenues to go in the pro wrestling business. And that's one thing that's really beautiful about it. But moving on from pro wrestling into mental health awareness, because on Wrestling with Awareness, mental health has always been a topic of discussion. So if you're comfortable sharing, have you ever struggled with your mental health? And what advice would you give to people watching that could be struggling?
Yes, I still do struggle with mental health. It's no secret that I've been institutionalized for my eating disorder for several months, and I still deal with it every day. I haven't acted out in a while, but, like, I do have, bad days, and currently, anxiety, depression, those things are super fun co-host in my show of life. But honestly, like, it's okay not to, it may be, like, super played out, but I don't think it is. It's fine. I take comfort with knowing it's okay not to be okay, especially when I have found, like, my eating disorder is a way I act out on what's going on inside. And I have a thing with being perfect. Like, I feel like I almost have OCD about being perfect all the time, and I act out. And if I can't control my situation, I act out and I eat or starve or whatever. And honestly, like, finding people you can have a very strong support system with, if you can find a way to have somebody that's not related to you, not tied to you in any way, to talk to. like a therapist or something, was huge for me. Absolutely huge. And so yeah, having a support system, talk it out, have really qualified professionals help you out. There's no shame in asking for help and in therapy. And those are what have helped me every day. And just knowing like, man, like today's kind of a bad day for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like today, I'm like I'm off my schedule. I have so much to do. I'm starting to feel like a little like a little bit like a bad mental health day. And knowing like it's okay. It's absolutely okay if you need to take a minute or an hour or the rest of the day. It's okay. You know what I mean? And hopefully we have tomorrow. And yeah, one thing at a time. I know that was probably like a lot of advice, but like one thing at a time and have a good support system. I think those are the biggest things for me.
Of course. And I couldn't agree more. Having a good support system, speaking up, speaking out to people, that is something so crucial. And, even if you struggle with speaking to people, one thing I've even been experimenting with, my mom actually told me to do this year, I started with, is just writing in a journal. If you have nobody to speak with, or especially if it's during a pandemic or something, and you just need to let something out, just find a way to express yourself. Because if you just keep it bottled up inside you, that's when things kind of get worse than they are. And then just understand when things are bad. For me personally, it's just been gratitude that's been helping me out lately. So as you said, you're having a bad day. We all have bad days. Just be grateful in a way, because if we didn't have bad days, we can't have good days, exactly.
No,
So yeah,
absolutely. And like I love that you brought up the journaling too, especially like, I think a lot of us are struggling financially right now with the world on fire. And so like the journal, that's a wonderful tool. And like a therapist did tell me something one time that I really like, I don't know, something clicked for me, was the more you talk about your demons or your secrets, the things that make you feel like you can't be yourself and stuff like that, when you talk about them, they have less power over your life. So even if it's through journaling or, telling a close friend or something, it helps. So talk about your demons, get them out there, and slowly but surely, yeah, they'll have less hold over your life.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That's really something that is crucial, is that if you want to give them less power, you just got to open up in some way, the best way for you to possibly do. Because, in a lot of ways, it's trial and error, I think, finding out what works for you. So like writing in a journal might not work for the next person, but speaking to a therapist or someone might work for them. Mental health is trial and error. Just always got to remember there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you will find what doesn't hit an error. You'll find what works for you, and that's the most important thing. And once again, you come from a very prestigious wrestling family. As you say, Guerreros do it better, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So behind the big name, at the end of the day, we are all people, and we go through stuff. And one thing that you went through at a very young age is something that I feel like a lot of people watching have probably gone through, especially if they're at a younger age. And that's just losing a parent. Like how did that impact your mental health? And like, what advice would you give to people like who are going through that situation?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question. I don't know, like, if I've been asked that, like, directly from anyone. Honestly, like, losing my dad, and I mean, I've had my eating disorder since I was around 11. And so, losing him at 15, I think it kind of stunted my mental development and emotional development, just because it was so sudden. And I think of course I grieved, but like I think I was so focused on, I don't know, it just felt like a blur. I felt like I was just going through the motions, and I was so worried about my mom. Like me and my mom got really close after that, because we had to. Like we had to get close, because we moved to a new state like right after he died, and there was like so much happening, and like I think it did stump me for a little bit, and I think I didn't really address it until like later on into my adult life, especially with going into the wrestling industry. I think going into the wrestling industry kind of brought out a lot of the stunting I was talking about emotionally and mentally. I think that was when my eating disorder really got out of hand. So it's just like, it's hard, you know, and my mom didn't know to send me and Sherilyn to a therapist, like when dad died. Like, I think, like, I don't think she went to one. Like, we were all just like, what the hell? How do we figure this out? Because dad didn't leave a will. He didn't leave anything for us to, like, we had to figure everything out. And so honestly, I think we were numb for like a couple years, just like trying to live. So, but I'm happy now that I'm working through it. I'm still working through it all the time, especially with being in the wrestling industry and having to be in his shadow and having to talk about him all the time. So in a way, it's been kind of healing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could definitely understand why it's healing because as we said, just opening up about this stuff, it truly helps. And so to switch things over to a positive note, I know you did say once again that you became a lot more connected with your father within his last year. But for the people watching this, because I'm sure there's a lot of Eddie Guerrero fans watching this, could you share any funny stories or funny memories of Eddie with us, if you have any?
Sure. I guess, I mean, dad was always known for being super generous. And so, at least like with the people that knew him really well. And dad would just always do like the most random acts of kindness that were large gestures to the people around him. Like my dad, I always found it a huge treat when I was younger growing up. I was part of a step team in high school, or I'm sorry, in middle school. And when dad came to step team practice to watch me, that was already like a huge gift for me. Just because he was there watching me do my thing, and I was super proud that he could watch me do that and kind of get to know what I liked and whatnot. But he would go above and beyond. Like he would buy everyone McDonald's and like just bring bags and bags of like food for everybody to have after practice because he knew we would be hungry. And like, or he would see me and my sister playing outside with the neighborhood kids, and we were all just kind of bumping around and bopping around, you know, just being kids. I don't know, playing pretend. But then he would like be like, I'm gonna go. None of you kids move. And we'd be like, okay, sir, whatever. Like we didn't know what was happening. And he would come back with a truck full of water guns. And like they would be all for us, like to play with. Of course, he bought himself the huge super soaker because he wanted to kick all our asses. But he also brought everybody like squirt guns and completely annihilated us. But it was really, but he would do things like that, just random acts of kindness, and he would give you the shirt off his back. And that's just who dad was. He was very quiet and laid back, but well, not laid back. None of us Guerreros are really laid back. We're like pretty extreme. We're hotheads, or we're like the best person you'll ever know. It's just we kind of don't have a middle ground. But that was dad, you know, and I think a lot of people can attest to his generosity and kindness.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And I think the next question is something he would be very interested in. As you said, you have a match coming up with Deanna Purazzo in Impact Wrestling. If Deanna's watching this, what's one message you have to give to her?
Oh my God. Well, like in like a real sense, like, I mean, I'm very honored to be able to work with such a proficient technician in the ring for sure. And I have a feeling I'm going to learn a lot from her. But at the same time, I do have something to prove, and she's clearly already proven to the world like that she deserves the Impact title and that she's badass. You know what I mean? But I have a lot of proving to do, and sometimes when you're up against somebody that has a lot of proving to do and has a lot of ground to cover, you never know what can happen. So I just want her to be on her A game and not think that little Guerrero doesn't have anything to bring to the table, because I do.
Absolutely. So to wrap up this episode, I like to play a game with a lot of my guests. So I'm going to list 10 people off, and you can use one word or sentence to describe them.
Oh, God. This sounds terrifying. Okay.
Okay. We'll start things off with Rey Mysterio.
Soft-spoken.
Soft-spoken. Okay. Vince McMahon.
Scary.
Chris Jericho.
Funny.
Okay. Next off, we're gonna go with Dusty Rhodes.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Just like coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Your sister Sherilyn Guerrero.
Crazy.
AJ Lee, because I know you worked with her in FCW.
Oh. I mean, like teacher.
Teacher. Your husband, the Drama King Matt, aka Aiden English.
I have to pick one word. That's so hard.
You can pick a sentence if you want.
Okay, love of my life.
All right. Chavo Guerrero.
We're so proud of you. We're all so proud of him.
Vicky Guerrero.
I mean, like, I love you.
And then last but not least, Eddie Guerrero.
I mean, I want to say father, but like, I mean, that's so hard. No, I guess I'll go with father, because that's the one thing I have that the world can't share with me. Maybe that's kind of a downer, but like, I have to hold on to something for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really enjoyed this episode. I think we opened up a lot about mental health awareness. We learned a lot more about you and what you have in store for your wrestling career and your dancing. So I really appreciate you coming on. Where can everybody find you on social media?
All right, so you guys can find me on Instagram at Shaul Guerrero, on Twitch at Shaul Guerrero, and on Twitter at Guerrero_Shaul.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just wrestled the mind with Shaul Guerrero. Could we get a Guerreros Do It Better or a Viva La Raza to end it off?
Yeah, baby. Guerreros do it better. Viva la raza. Love it.